Next stop for investors today will be the Fed minutes. How closely are you watching out for this when it comes to any clues on inflation, the Fed's projected view of inflation, how that plays into their rate hike path, and ultimately, what does that mean for Asian equities?
Well, I agree with you. I think the Fed is definitely going to be signaling its tone. Everybody's going to be watching it very closely tonight. And I think the key here is it going to be 2 or 3 hikes? I think what would surprise the market is if they came out with much more stronger language, and that's when I think the markets could react.
I'm surprised you say 2 or 3. I thought the question was 3 or 4.
Well, that's what I think the markets are not expecting. The markets are expecting between 2 to 3. The Fed has kind of signaled 4. But I think what people are trying to figure out is that, is it going to be 4? And if it is, then how do you adjust your portfolios?
How do you adjust your portfolio? And a lot of this comes down to what happens to the dollar. We were just taking a look there at dollar rates, how this impacts Asian equities to a big degree. We've been watching the Nikkei move really closely, especially when you look at the exporters, often with the dollar-yen relationship there. The dollar is higher by about 0.5% in the Japanese currency as we speak. But this hasn't always been the story. We have been watching the U.S. 10-year yield get higher and the dollar index not always following.
That is true. I would suspect that the reason for that is that, people are watching the twin deficits in the sense that with what's happening in the U.S. budget, you know that the budget deficit is going to definitely be on an uptick. On the flip side, the trade deficit also has been increasing.
Right.
So people are again refocusing back that if the U.S. economy is strong, that does not necessarily mean a stronger dollar. It could mean basically the dollar could track lower. So that's kind of playing out in the market. And I think that's how it's affecting the Asian markets.
It certainly is. But as many point out, the fact that the U.S. economy is strong is still giving many out there confidence that the equity market will hold up, perhaps even maintain its gains. What is your view when you look at the fundamentals right here in Asia? Was the correction we had just a few weeks ago, is that just the beginning, or do you think it's one and done?
Well, I suspect that volatility this year is going to continue. That's for sure. But more importantly, I think we need to focus in on the fundamentals. I mean, earnings are on the upswing. We are seeing economies benefiting from the growth in the US and in other developed markets. So if you take the more fundamental picture, I suspect is that, the markets are going to head higher. Now, are they going to do it in a straight line like we saw in the past? I doubt it. We are going to see periods of weakness and periods of strength. But if you ask me, I'm optimistic, cautiously optimistic that these markets will be higher, as the year progresses.